from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your 7-day Australia-only forecast. And we've got a couple of low pressure zones to focus on in Australia for now and a potential tropical cyclone next week. Let's have a look and see what's happening as we kick off Thursday. This is the main low pressure zone, bringing plenty of rain to Sydney, to Canberra, and to the southeastern corner of Victoria. It's also bringing a cooler day down in Tasmania. Hobart, 17 degrees today with showers. That is your coldest day of the next week ahead. And Canberra, speaking of you, wet through till Sunday. Further to the north though, interestingly, Brisbane, 34 degrees and sunny. That is your warmest day of the week. So it does matter which side of the low pressure zone you are on. And speaking of the north, Darwin, the other bit of headline, I guess, coming out of there. It's not a headline if you live there though. No changes in your temperatures for the next week ahead. You're into that 32 to 34 degree mark, high humidity, tropical showers falling in Darwin for the next week ahead. But an interesting map for this morning with that low out to the east and the other one out here in the west. Plenty more thunderstorms still falling through the central part of Australia. So let's have a look at how we go towards the end of today. That low, the main one, is still there, driving in plenty more rain for the border of New South Wales, Victoria, and going into the ACT. Tasmania is on the outer edges of it. So like I said, you get the cooler wind and a few showers, but not as much wet weather falling as you might want. I've heard from Hobart, I've heard from places like Lonnie and other areas in the east, you do want rain in eastern side of Tasmania, but the next week ahead, drier than average for you. So let's have a look at the next week ahead. This is the departure from normal rainfall map. Blue, wetter than average. Red, drier than average. White, normal rainfall for this time of the year. And it's comparing the last 30 or 40 years of data to work this out. So I just mentioned Tasmania is drier than average. You can see a little bit of moisture coming into the very east there. It'll help out a little bit, but it won't be much. Most of the wet weather is in that southeastern corner. A little bit up here in Queensland, more thunderstorms developing for you, and obviously the thunderstorms we're seeing at the moment. And we've also got some wet weather for some of the farming areas of the south of Western Australia. So plenty of variety around Australia, but for the next 7 days, I think the biggest headline is we're starting to dry back out again. The other feature, this blob up here, that is a tropical storm we think is going to form into a cyclone next week. And it's likely to track down, but see that red blob here, that is high pressure. Well known in El Nino to have that blob of high pressure here. So the storm might drop down and then could end up going sideways off towards Queensland with showers, which would be very good for places like Mackay and Townsville, which are starting to really dry out. So let's get into the forecast. Here we are for Friday. And speaking of Townsville and Mackay, you can see a few of these afternoon thunderstorms, but they are well inland. They're not coastal by the looks of it, although they do become a bit more coastal here as you come down towards Rockhampton and north of Brisbane. The main headlines on Friday, probably Adelaide, actually, your coldest day of the week. For Friday and Saturday, your high is only around 23 degrees, and you've got dry weather for the next 7 days in Adelaide. Hobart, both Friday and Saturday, you're around 18 degrees. Still got a couple of showers in there, but it's not a lot. It's still mostly dry. And on the other side, this airflow here will boost Perth's temperatures up. On Friday, Perth is heading for 33 to 35 degrees. It'll be a hot one. Now, as we go into Saturday, speaking of the western side of Australia, Albany, 27 degrees for you, and you'll be dropping to the low 20s in the days ahead. So make the most of the warmth if you like it. Esperance will be 34 degrees. So pretty warm weather here coming down from the desert from out of Kalgoorlie. But like I say, the days ahead, you get that cool down coming for you. Elsewhere, some other places to talk about. Mansfield in Victoria, 19 degrees with showers. And then it'll be getting up towards 30 degrees and dry by the time you get to Tuesday. And then further up into New South Wales, Armidale is going to be 23 degrees. That is the coolest day you've got with a few showers around for you. It'll be 27 to 30 degrees by Tuesday or Wednesday though. So that is the weather occurring around that part of Australia, and it's still raining here in the southeast. But that rain does start to ease finally on Sunday, and that will clear things up for most of you. It may still be a bit wet in Canberra and a couple of other places just sort of south of Sydney, but generally speaking, that system's falling apart. And we've got more heavy showers and thunderstorms across Queensland. There was an impressive thunderstorm last night around the Gold Coast and Brisbane as well, which was we saw the video footage from it here in New Zealand. It was impressive to look at. Other headlines on Sunday, Bendigo, you're going to be waking up to 9 degrees. That'll be a bit of a cool start for you there in Victoria. That's your coolest morning of the week. Sydney, 22 degrees with showers. Same story on Monday. Those are your coolest days of the week as well for you on Sunday. Brisbane, 34 degrees and sunny. That was a bit like today. You're matching the hottest day of the week with the 34 degrees on Sunday for you. And Mackay, you got a few showers developing. That'll be good news for you, I hope. Maybe a few thunderstorms in there because next week it becomes very dry for you. And Perth, that red line starts to go back northwards again. Your high on Sunday will be dropping to 24 degrees. Your coolest day of the next 7 days coming up. So as we go into Monday of next week, you can see that southwesterly coming in to the southwestern corner of Australia. It's not as hot for these places that were up into the 40s last week. Won't be quite as hot for you with a bit of a breeze coming in, a sea breeze for you. The other headlines on Monday, Adelaide will be 32 degrees. The red line dropping down towards you. That's your hottest day of the next 7 days coming up. And it'll be even hotter. Places like Ceduna, Cooper Pedy, you'll be getting up into the late 30s potentially as we go through Monday. And actually talking of these inland areas, Uluru, 40 degrees for you. That is locked in for your Monday of next week. So it's going to be pretty hot for those places. So going into Tuesday now, Adelaide, no great deal of change there. That red line is very close to you. So pretty hot weather just north of Adelaide, but Adelaide itself may not be so bad. Melbourne's not too bad either on Tuesday. Temperature-wise, Sydney's got its hottest day of the week. 27 degrees in the city, 33 degrees inland for places like Parramatta and Penrith. So it's going to be pretty hot once you get inland on Tuesday. Alice Springs will be around 39, 40 degrees. And further up towards Katherine, you're also going to be about 39 degrees. That's your hottest day of the week. And with the humidity, you're going to be feeling that warmth up there in the Northern Territories on Tuesday. So our final map here on Wednesday shows that red line kind of retreating a wee bit. So it won't be quite as hot now in these southeastern areas or coastal parts of Queensland. We've also got this low up here, now moving into the Solomon Sea, then the Coral Sea area. This block of high pressure right here should be the guiding force, and that should stop it coming down into Norfolk Island or New Zealand, but it means the leftovers may well end up coming into some parts of Queensland. We'll have to wait and see. 31 degrees for Canberra. That'll be your hottest day of the week next week. And Toowoomba up in just near Brisbane, you'll be 33 degrees. That is your hottest day of the week coming up. So we do still have some hot weather here and there next week, but it's a little bit spring-like still. I mean, it's not necessarily lasting for days and days in a row. Before I go, let's have a look at the rainfall for you for the next 7 days. We've got two maps today comparing the GFS one from America and the ECM one from Europe. It is a lot drier than it was. So this is all dry in this weather here from Broken Hill to Griffith, really down to about Melbourne and over to Adelaide. Not much rain here. Not much rain for Perth and Western Australia, but further inland areas like around Esperance and up to around Kalgoorlie, good chance of rain in there. And we've got some thunderstorms carrying on all the way down to about Brisbane. But from Brisbane to Sydney, this is the drier zone. So it is different to where we've been for the last 3 weeks. Let's compare that to the European modelling. No differences in the modelling there. Looks very similar. Doesn't show the cyclone coming down. This is all high pressure, so mostly dry in that zone. Norfolk Island's got a few downpours, and we've got that heavy rain still getting up to 150 millimetres in the next few days still, before that finally does clear away. So there we go. That is the forecast across Australia for your next week ahead. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back again next week with our next update. And of course, we have no video tomorrow, Friday, but we're back again on Monday with our usual New Zealand 7-day outlook. And then by Tuesday, we do our next Pacific Islands update and New Zealand, Australia share the video. Don't worry, there's no test on all of that. You don't have to remember any of that. Just look out for our next update on YouTube. Have a great weekend.